Welcome to the Autism Handbook. I'm your host, Dr. Selena Justice. I'm a licensed psychologist who specializes in diagnosing and treating high-masking autistic adults, which is a fancy way of saying I work with people who are really good at seeming like they're fine until they're not. This is the handbook you never got, whether you were diagnosed last week, decades ago, or you're still in the process of figuring it out. If you've ever felt like everyone else got instructions to life and you didn't, you're in the right place. Before we get started, what I share on this podcast is meant to be informational and educational, but not clinical advice. It's always a good idea to work with your own team of providers for anything specific to you. Nothing here replaces working with a professional who actually knows you and your history. Let's get into it. So, a little bit about me and how I got here. I knew pretty early on in my training as a psychologist that I wanted to work with autistic people. But like a lot of clinicians starting out, I was working a lot with young kids and folks with higher support needs. Eventually, I found my way into assessment work, training at hospitals, and really getting a deeper understanding of what an autism diagnosis actually looks like and what to look for when diagnosing. But the experience that probably shaped me the most was when I was working at a college providing support services for autistic students. Being able to see how they functioned in the real world, where the gaps were, and what supports were missing. Most importantly, what they actually needed while they were there, which a lot of the time was just to feel like they belonged somewhere and a place where they could be independent. And then COVID happened, and honestly, it was kind of an eye-opening moment for me because I watched some of these folks thrive when they got to learn from home and be in a comfortable environment, have more control over their day, things like that. And it really made me rethink what autistic people actually need versus what we as clinicians think they need. That shift changed how I practice. When I moved into private practice, I realized pretty quickly that high masking autistic adults are incredibly underserved. They've spent years being misdiagnosed, or told they're too sensitive or not trying hard enough. And I really love being able to provide something different for these people. Tools, real ones, that really work for their brain. I also want to be transparent that I'm a neurotypical person, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that and to keep learning from autistic voices to make sure that what I'm offering is actually what the community needs, not just what I assume they need. So here's what you can expect from this show. Every episode, we're going to dig into something concrete and practical. Things like how to actually understand and cope with your emotions, communication strategies that work for a brain like yours, and tools for planning and organizing your day. We're going to look at how to navigate change without it completely derailing you. The kind of stuff that makes daily life feel a little bit more manageable and a little less like you're figuring it out as you go. We're going to talk about things like energy management, which is basically a framework for understanding what drains your energy and what charges it. We'll talk about masking, what it actually is, why you do it, what it costs you. We'll also touch on emotional regulation, executive functioning, sensory tools, communication strategies, the practical real life stuff that I use with my clients every single week. The goal is simple. I want you to leave every episode with something you can actually use, not just something to think about, something to do. I created this podcast because I kept seeing the same thing over and over in my practice. People coming in who were smart, self-aware, and already had done so much work on themselves. They knew their patterns, they understood their struggles, but what they were missing was someone handing them actual tools. And I thought, I can do that. I can make that accessible to more people than just the ones sitting across from me in a session. So here we are. And because I think the lived experience of autistic adults is just as valuable as anything I can offer from my own expertise and experience working in the field, I'm also going to be bringing in guests. Autistic adults sharing their own stories, other clinicians and providers who specialize in this space, researchers, advocates, educators, people who bring perspectives and experiences that I simply can't offer on my own. Because the more voices in this conversation, the better. So if there's someone you'd love to hear from on here, let me know. Because at the end of the day, the goal of this podcast is making sure that you know that you're not the only one who didn't get the handbook. And it's not too late to get one. That's all for today's episode. If anything we talked about today resonated with you and you're wondering whether working together might be a good fit, I do offer virtual therapy and formal autism assessments for adults in 43 SIPAC states. All the details are linked down in the show notes. If you want more content like this between episodes, come find me on Instagram at dr.selenajustice. I post there pretty much daily, and it's a good place to get to know me and the work I do. You can find links to my Instagram as well as any products I may have mentioned down in the show notes as well. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe wherever you're listening, leave a review, or share it with a friend. That way we can help more people find the show. Until next time.